All right, welcome everybody out there. We are here once again, and today, man, one of my favorite people that I've met recently, that I've had the pleasure to meet, Ryan Vallett is here with us. And if you guys don't know who I am, my name's Oscar Gonzalez. I'm the founder and CEO of ScaleMySocial.io, and what I focus on is trying to help agencies and agents generate their own leads and control their own marketing. And I try to always bring to this show, insights, what's happening in the insurance market, what's setting people apart, what are top producers, top agents, top agency owners doing right now that can benefit you who's out there watching this. And so it's awesome to have Ryan on the show right now. We actually just connected not too long ago, right? We met, a few weeks ago. I think we met for the first time ever. We spoke a couple times, but man, it's so good to have you on here. Introduce yourself. Give us a little background on you, how long you've been in insurance, and just kick us off, man. Tell us, how did you get these muscles and these good looks that you have, man? Come on, fill us in, man.
Well, that comes over time, and beauty is very well maintained. That's about the only way you can do it.
A lot of beauty rest, man. Beauty
And,
rest, and
and what's weird is after our first meeting, I realized that something, I became more beautiful after I met you. I don't know. Maybe it was you.
man, maybe, well, maybe, man. But tell us a little about
Right.
yourself, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, Ryan Vallett, been doing life insurance, Medicare annuities for almost 3 years. It's been about 2.5, 3 years now.
Hmm.
Most recently started an agency with a friend of mine, now business partner. We've been together for a little over 6 months. The interesting thing is we had never met. It's probably one of the wildest things that
Wow,
people find about us. We had literally never met in person, and we decided, you know what, we get along so well over video. Why not just start an agency together?
no kidding.
So yeah, Cody Witzel, a really again best friend. Never met in person until Mexico. We went to Mexico back in March, I guess. And whenever we went there, nobody could believe it. We had never met either. We met each other in person. Everybody's like, "Man, you guys get along so well. Like you've known
Guys
each
just
other."
click.
Yeah. So
Wow, man,
really just
that's
started
interesting.
the agency. Yeah, started the agency because too many agents. We saw too many agents struggle, and we
Hmm.
struggled, and we thought, why don't we try to create something that we can keep others from going through all the same heartache that we did. If we can start things up and get people rolling as fast as possible and avoid the mistakes that we made, why not?
Hmm.
So
It's interesting. I think any good business with a good foundation really starts from the owners or founders solving a problem or going through something and then saying, "Hey, why don't we try to fix this and try to provide something where people don't have to go through what we just went through trying to get here."
yeah.
It's even more interesting to hear, how you guys connected without really knowing each other, and within a few months, like starting a business together. Because, man, I've been in several partnerships, right? Like some large partnerships with several people and their relationships, right? Like, man, there's dynamics to it, and especially amongst like business owners, right? Because we each are, for the most part, we're pretty strong headed. We're trying to do something, and so sometimes those relationships can collide in a really great way and make these awesome partnerships, and sometimes it can go the other route, right? So it's
hmm
cool that you
hmm
guys not only obviously you connected as people and as friends, and then from there it was like, well, shit, why don't we do a business together, right? Like,
Yeah.
um
Yeah, it really
sometimes those are like
was.
the best connections.
Yeah. I mean, so we started an IMO. Basically, he started and I started, and then we had it was his upline that put us together. He was like, hey, I wound up talking to his upline, and he said, hey, I got a guy who, recent new agent who is kind of going through the same thing. He's been in a little bit longer than you, and we just went through a whole bunch of different processes to get his business, where he wants it to be. Maybe he can kind of give you some examples of what he's been through. We wound up really hitting it off, and
Mm-hmm.
actually starting kind of a Zoom room of our own in that IMO, and helping a bunch of people without any benefit, helping a bunch of people together. And the most funny thing about it probably is that he actually asked me, a couple months into that, he's like, you know what, maybe we ought to start a partnership. Both of us were so fresh in the business. We're like, what does the partnership mean? Like what would it mean for us to partner up? And the so we just kind of left it at that, and then we made some moves and kind of separated for a little bit, and then whenever I moved to Dave, I was like, man, you need to come over here, and we need to truly partner up now. And so yeah,
Wow,
pretty wild
man,
how it all wound up.
that's a really crazy story, man. So, all right, man. So, yeah, wow, we just had a crazy scare. So I'm gonna mention this, right? Because we're gonna edit some of this stuff in our post production, But man, just to let everyone know what just happened, I'm in Colombia, right? I'm here for the summer, and my wife's here, my kids are here. Today was the first day that our 2-year-old was getting dropped off by the bus from school, and she was supposed to be dropped off an hour ago. So we were just literally in this interview. I didn't mean to cut you off, man, but literally my wife like bombarded me with calls, and all of a sudden is like, man, where's our baby? Our baby's not home. And so we had to pause the podcast for a second while I figured this whole thing out. Um, Update: the baby is home. She was fine. Everything was okay. It was just a misunderstanding, but that was a quick scare, man. So I apologize. I had to kind of cut you off there like that. I didn't mean to, man, but it was it was a scary moment there.
All good, all good. We got kids, and so I totally understand where you're coming from. I would about lose it, so I totally feel where you're at, especially the
Man,
first day in Colombia of all places. It's not like you're just at home, It's like, oh yeah, I can get a hold of somebody. Yeah,
no,
whole
no,
new place.
no. We're in a different place out here, So we had to stop everything. We had to pause insurance for a second, man. Hold on a second,
Right.
But no, we're back. We're back, and you were really just talking about how the dynamic between you and your partner, and how you guys met and got together, and really like coming up with like a solution, right? And being like, hey, we're identifying a problem. Do you want to work together and like do it differently, right? And like provide a real solution for agents and that want to do this. And I think that's obviously one of the biggest things in this industry is everybody talks about it, right? The fall off, and why so many people fail, and why so many people kind of don't make it. And it's the lack of so many things, right? The lack of support, the lack of structure, the lack of system. And again, you and I connected just really a few weeks ago. Your name kept popping up around, groups and stuff as, oh man, Ryan, this guy's doing some really cool stuff. He's, has a team of agents. He's so involved, from not just like training, which we'll let you kind of talk a little bit about, but man, like that's one of the things that really called my attention was, you do training, onboarding, lead generation for the agents. Like you really are truly a hands-on agency owner. And so speak a little bit to that, man. Like, the benefits of it, the cons, right? Like the disadvantages of being so hands-on with agents, and then obviously the benefits that come from taking an agent from point A to point Z and really being a major part in the entire process. Fill us in on a little bit of that.
Yeah. So the biggest benefit is the gratification that I get,
Hmm.
that we get from helping somebody actually make it in the business. There's a lot to be said. As you mentioned, a lot of people fail in this business. They really do, and I do believe that a large portion of that comes from not having the right people guide them. When I started, I had my upline told me to buy anything and everything, and then nothing in between. And the
Yeah.
so I did, and didn't know any better. Spent a lot of money. I got lucky enough that it didn't take me under, but most people don't get that lucky. So that's one of the biggest benefits for on our side when it comes to an agent. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I wish I had. Whenever I came into the business, I would be 10 times farther than what I am today had I had
Right.
somebody keep me from doing the wrong things. Because you mentioned there's so many different processes and everything. Our way is not the only way. It really isn't. You could do it many different ways in this business, and that's beautiful, but
Right.
it's a blessing and a curse, right? You can do things. It's really hard to know what lane you should be in.
Hmm.
What CRM you should use, what how should you get leads?
Right.
How should you even talk to a client? And that's one of the things that Cody and I really worked well on. Talking about how close we were. I don't know how many times he's made a decision or I've made a decision, and we'll get on the phone. We're like, man, we made a decision. Are you cool with that? And it's like, of course, it totally makes sense.
Right.
We're
Right.
both very well in tune. Hopefully we don't have any rocky roads, but I am confident that we'll get through that. But one of the biggest
Sure.
benefits to an agent is again just the we found a CRM that we love. It's easy to use.
Hmm.
It gets people in very quick. It's not just easy to use, but easy to understand. But it's
Right.
got enough that you can engage with the client on a regular basis. Um, we have a very simple script that's easy to understand, so that
Hmm.
way when you come in, you don't have 20 pages of everything that you got to figure out. Uh, we teach you. Now, it doesn't mean that a script is only 2 pages and that's all you need, right? Um, that's one of our. I'd say that's what kind of sets us apart is we do a Zoom all day, every day, and sit with the
Right.
agents the whole time. Whether we're on a call, they're on a call, doesn't matter. We're with them the whole time. We're in their ear. An agent gets a client on the line, we're walking them through a sale. If we hear
Mm.
that they're saying
Wow.
something, or we can also listen in on the advantage says we can also hear what the client is saying, so we know how the agent should be reacting, or what the next step really should be. Sometimes as a new person, it's hard to understand, where someone's coming from when it's your first 100 calls,
Yeah. 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 It's so valuable to
so
be able to step into a call, coach an agent through a phone call, through that initial sale. I think that's super powerful. And so I think
yeah.
that certainly will set you apart from, gosh, I hate to say it, but the majority of agencies that are out there, right, that really don't provide that. And man, you touched on something that I think is very valid, right? And that it's you have so many options when you come into this business that it's a blessing and a curse, right? And I think that's the best way to put it, right? Because it is a blessing to have so many ways to develop a business and so many ways to be successful within an industry, but it's a huge curse for new people, right? Especially those folks that are coming from perhaps working a 9 to 5, right? The teacher that was a teacher for the district, school system for 20 years and now wants to do sales as an insurance agent. Like, I think those types of folks, it's really more of a curse than it is a blessing, because you just don't have that knowledge, that experience of starting a business, going through and not being driven by so many options, right? To the point where it's like you end up trying so many different things, and you end up failing out because you didn't focus on one or two things. Rather, you were spread across, being pulled 100 different directions. And so I think for newer agents, and even established ones, right? Like, and I preach this a lot when I talk to agents and and clients. It's like, man, find a structure, find a system, find support, right? If you can have those three things, and then you put in the activity and the amount of work that's required to be successful in the business, it's very tough to fail, right? But I think those three S's, right? That support, that system, that structure, that's what's really lacking out there, right? And um,
Yeah.
shit, man, like when I heard that, it was like, man, Ryan, this guy Ryan, he's out there, like he's doing it all, right? And so, talk a little bit about, because that obviously is in my wheelhouse, like the lead generation and management of ads. And so, I think you provide such a huge value to say to an agent, hey, I am hands on with these ads. I'm the one really running them. And it's in my best interest that you get quality leads, because it's going to turn into business that you as an agency owner will profit from just the same as the agent, right? So, talk a little bit about, you know, how you, how did you decide that, hey, I'm going to start managing ads for agents while I recruit them? Like, what led you to that versus like buying leads or some of the other methods that are out there?
Yeah. So, uh, what really led me, I lucked out. To be completely honest, I'm not going to sit here and say that I just studied like crazy and figured out how to do everything straight up on my own. I lucked out, and I had a really good friend at the time who was willing to set everything up and basically walk me through the beginning stages. Um, the of setting up the ads, so getting
Right,
into it was, I lucked out. But I will tell you,
right,
it is when anybody gives a suggestion of don't start ads, if you are just new to sales, even if you're not new to sales, if you're new to
right.
the business, or you don't currently have a marketing background and you don't have a bankroll to protect yourself,
Mm,
don't try and
mm,
learn how to market and sell. You're a
yes.
salesman. If you're coming into the business, you're a salesman, and that should be your primary focus, right? 1,000%.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and I would say, I wish I had no clue coming into this business, absolutely not even close to an idea that generating your own leads was a real thing. You're coming
Mm,
into, what we tell our
wow.
agents is, you're coming into a business where, everybody is trying to sell you something. You're in a business of
Right.
salesmen and women, and everybody is trying to sell you something. Everybody's got that new great lead that is going to make you millions of dollars, and everybody sold 10 out of 11 leads and all this,
Sure.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
I, coming into the business, didn't know any better. I thought, man, that's real. You hear something,
Sure.
when it comes to leads, there's really no difference, between leads.
Hmm.
Yeah, some can be a little higher quality, maybe. Maybe you get a little better answer rate on some, but they all cost money, and they all take work. You know,
Right.
um, the advantage to running your own marketing is you know exactly where it's coming from. There's far more control, and honestly, running campaigns for agents is, if you had told me that's where I was going to wind up being, I would have told you,
Right.
no way. That sounds silly. But again, that's, I would say that's how invested I am in the belief that I truly want to see people
Hmm.
succeed. Is, as difficult as what it is sometimes to manage, it's
Right.
totally worth it whenever I see somebody who makes a $1,200 sale, and has only spent $100 on leads.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's super gratifying, and knowing, we always tell our agents, look, this is not a sprint. You can issue a lot of business right out the gate. It's absolutely possible, and you can keep that up too, depending on what your goals and what you can actually work. It's all about the work.
Sure.
But really, in the end, it's the long haul. It's in it for the,
Longevity.
a marathon. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do it.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
it for longevity instead of trying to make 200,000 in 1 week. So
Agreed.
it's
Agreed.
you know
Yeah,
again,
and it's
I don't
interesting,
know
man.
about
Like
that.
you talk about, yeah, and you talk about, look, I people often ask me like when they cut, well, they'll book a call with me and like, well, hey, what do you do that like generates these leads? How is it that some of your clients are so successful and are seeing the results? And it's like, man, I would love to say that I'm like this wizard, right? And I have all these like secret, things that I use to generate leads and to help agents. And I'll say it every time. Like I don't do anything secret. There's nothing that I have that is special. Like I understand marketing, right? I understand how to deliver a message and how to capture somebody's attention and perhaps try to put them in front of somebody that can potentially sell them a product or service, right? Like I've gotten good at that. But like you said, like, man, look, and you just like stumbled into it, right? And you've built a business and you've really doubled down on it. Obviously it works, and having the control, right, which is what you said, like the benefit is knowing where that lead came from, right? And now more than ever, going into where we are, the status of this business and many other industries when it comes to telephony and contacts and TCPA laws and all these things that are now becoming more real. And obviously since COVID, insurance really going from, especially life insurance, right, final expense, going from a door knocking face to face type of industry to really swapping and turning into a telesales thing. Like, man, the opportunity right now to control that marketing and to generate and know where they're coming from and own those audiences over time is so valuable, right? And man, it's so good to see you be able to get to where you've gotten. And like you said, it's not easy, right? And you and I even talked a few weeks ago about challenges across the board, right? That I was experiencing, you were experiencing, and like you even said to me, like, man, it's good to know that I'm not alone out here, right? That it's not like I'm losing my
Yeah.
mind. That, man, okay, there are things that move pricing on a lead. There are things that can make a campaign go up and go down, and how you weather that storm and how you make it through is no different than that original agent that's just starting off and gets smacked in the face with people not answering, or the sale that was supposed to be a sale that didn't convert. It's how you weather those things and how you take the punch and how you kind of just shake it off and just keep plugging away, right? Because that's all you've done, right? It's like, and we've
Yeah.
had that conversation. It's like, just, you can't beat me up, man. You might be able to smack me a couple times and I'm going to fall, but I'm going to get right back up and I'm going to keep going and keep going. And I think that's the attitude across the board in anything that we do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 1,000%. That's so one of the analogies that I love to tell my agents, that we talk a lot about is 10 feet from gold.
Mm,
The story 10 feet from gold, where the miner buys this, supposed to be a huge gold vein in there, and he's digging for God knows how long, and all of a sudden he just gives up and winds up selling
yeah.
the mine for what he had invested in it. And the next guy comes along, he's like, I believe there's gold in there. And he comes in literally 10 feet from gold. He finds it, and it's one of the richest gold veins out there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
same way with leads and sticking to it. I've always had a lot of patience. Well, I guess somewhat. I guess it depends on what it is. If it's my kids, maybe not so much. But when it comes to business, I just, to me, it just didn't make sense to try and change up my leads constantly and
Mm,
do a bunch of different things over and over again, until I actually had some proof that it wasn't working. I mean, when have people to
right.
call, those are potential clients. All of them are potential clients.
Right.
So, and not all of them buy today. But the biggest thing that we tell our agents is, look, it may be tough today. You may not be getting a maximum amount of leads today, but tomorrow might be different. Look at it over the course of a month. And you talk about leads and what sets us apart, the biggest difference is Cody and I are in there running them ourselves, right? So we're not,
Right.
there's not a
Right.
single one of our agents who are going to tell us these leads suck, these leads don't work, something's wrong here.
Right.
You know what? We're running the exact same thing. I mean, yeah, the messaging may be a little different here, there, or whatever, but we're running the exact same thing, and we're selling on a regular basis. You know,
Right.
um,
It's
so
tough for an agent to
that's
say, "Hey, these leads suck," when like you're calling them yourself and you're converting them yourself. It's like
yes.
you're putting your money where your mouth is, and you're delivering. So I think
Hmm.
that's a huge part, right? Because I compare like my example, which is we're just doing the management of the ads, even though I have a small final expense team, and I've been on the phone selling final expense, selling the same type of leads that I now help agents generate. Like I sold the same kind of thing, but it's
Yeah.
interesting when you don't understand lead generation, how an ad works, how quickly a newer agent will, oh, these leads suck. Oh, this doesn't work. I'm going to try something else. Shit, this doesn't work either. I'm going to try something else and something else and something else. And then 60 days have gone by. They've spent $10,000, $15,000. They're no closer to where they wanted to be. And it's easy to blame everything around you, right? Rather than realize that shit, if I would have just stuck with one thing, right? If I found that system, structure, support, and just stuck with it, how different things would have went, right? So I think that's something that I always mention again. And if you're out there and you're watching this and you're an agent and you're just starting and you're like, man, I want to do this. I want to buy this type of lead. I want to generate this lead, but this guy does these funnels and this guy does this. Like, tune out all the noise, right? Look for the core things, look for the support, look for the structure, look for the system, and close your eyes, put your head down, and just work. And you're going to see a lot better success than if you keep listening to the personalities and all the stuff that's out there, right? Like, would you agree that that's
Yeah.
probably one of the things that agents should be doing?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No matter who you're looking at, partnering with as far as an agency goes, you
Yeah.
absolutely should. I would say the key things that you should be paying attention to are one who's either the trainer is doing it themselves or the agency owner is doing it themselves,
Hmm.
and someone who
Hmm.
can walk you through exactly um, how to handle the leads themselves.
Sure.
Because there is
Yeah.
a little different reaction with each individual lead, but in other words, how they're sourced, right? So we don't, if we're producing a lead that maybe has a little less intent, you go through a little bit different process, but
Yep.
definitely
For sure.
that's one of the biggest struggles is find somebody who is actually out there doing it and isn't just going to
Hmm.
say, well, we've got the CRM, just get in there and dial, right? Although you can do it, it takes a lot to try and figure it out on your own. So make sure that whoever you find is actually doing it can show you the proof that it works too, because there's a lot of fakers out there. There's
Oh
a lot
man.
of people.
Yeah.
Unreal the amount of people who
Yeah.
who are their goal is just to get a body,
Sure.
and talk about having big game, but you find out that they haven't issued a
Well,
policy in forever. So
and that's the model, right? Which is one of obviously the things that I think are broken in this industry is the model of like recruit 1,000 agents, throw them at the wall, see what sticks, do it again, do it again, do it again, right? And over time, they end up amassing a bunch of them. But what they don't talk about is the amount of people that failed, right? Trying to follow that person that said they had the world figured out for that person. And like, the hundreds, sometimes thousands of agents that follow a structure and become just another one of the ones that fell off the wall, right? That didn't stick.
yeah,
And that rinse and repeat, that flush model, I've always been highly against it. And I you hope and see that things shift and change for the better, right? Because I think a shift
Mhm.
in that will only help this business, right? And make it better for all of us. Ryan, tell us a little bit. I know you guys focus a
Us
lot
and
on
the client.
obviously final expenses. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
the better agents that are out there, the better the clients get, and that's that's again another thing that we really
Agreed.
impress upon our agents is look, take care of the client like they're your parent, take care of them like they're your brother, your sister, whatever,
Right,
because
right,
uh, that's another very unfortunate thing. You get a bunch of people who don't know what the heck they're doing. They're throwing agencies are throwing agents at a wall and seeing who sticks. Agents are throwing clients at a
right,
wall and seeing who sticks. And
right,
it's very
right.
unfortunate.
You're right. The
So
model like continues, right? It's interesting. That's a good
yeah,
thought of it. Like that's the same thing. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Now, Ryan,
yeah,
tell us. Like, I know you guys obviously focus on final expense. Are you looking ahead to expanding the line of insurance that you guys work on? Like, what's on the horizon for you guys over the course of the next 12 months, 24 months? Where do you see the agency going?
yeah, yeah. So we both Cody and I are licensed in Medicare. Also, we're Medicare certified, I
Hmm,
should say. So that is one of the tools in the tool belt that we want to bring out in the future. Hopefully, I would say within the next 6 to 12 months, we would like to be building out not as a primary source, but Medicare is a great backup. Now, you never know what the regulations are going to bring with Medicare and which direction that's going to go. But I do
right,
believe it's still going to be a benefit, especially in final expense. You can pair that very easily with those with the type of clientele that we're speaking with. Um,
right.
so our goal is to definitely build out a Medicare division. Because we both are already doing it. We've got a couple agents that are fairly
Nice.
new that already do Medicare, and so they're really anxious to get into building out kind of that model and being able to utilize Medicare. But on top of it, um, I don't know. You never know where things are going to go. I've done pretty well in this business by just saying, hey, you know what? I'm just going to try to do everything that I can, and wherever
Right,
it takes me, and that's another beautiful thing about it is we have the opportunity to move into annuities. I've worked with
right.
I've actually got about a dozen or so annuity clients. So I'm already invested
Okay.
in annuities, and I know how those work. It's not a huge book,
Nice.
a little under 1 million, but it's a book of business, and so I kind of have a good idea. That's the nice
Yeah.
thing about having the David DeFord umbrella over us is he's got the yeah, I'm sure you're going to ask, right? But that's the good thing about having him, is he's got a team
Yeah.
under him. The what's the saying? Your processes are only as how is that? Your team, your business is only as good as your is as strong as your team, or something like that. I don't know, some
Sure,
corny
sure.
saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, but
Tell us a
it's
little bit about that, man, because you're building your own agency within basically somebody else's hierarchy, right? Somebody else's agency, which is David's, right? And
yeah,
um, I we go back to the same thing, right? Like you found a system, a structure, and the support in David and his team and what they're doing. And so, speak a little bit about building an agency and building a brand within somebody else's agency and within somebody else's brand. Like, what are the biggest advantages that you've seen and disadvantages, right?
yeah, yeah. So Dave, what I love about David DeFord is the fact that he is. I could trust him. That as we've talked several times now, there
Yeah,
we're in a business of people who want to sell you something, who are
yeah,
salesmen, and they want to sell. Oftentimes, want to sell you something. And
yeah,
Dave has always been straightforward, honest with me um, about directions, goals, what's possible, what's not possible. It's really difficult to find somebody who will back you in this business as much as Dave has with us. He's I mean, hell,
Fantastic.
we just went out on like a 4 or 5 mile hike with him, 2 weeks
It's
ago.
awesome, man.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's a really great guy, and not just a great guy, but somebody again that we can trust. So if we've got a problem, we can go to him and say, "Hey, look, we're running into this. Uh, has he given us everything that we've needed? Like, did he find our CRM? No, but that's not what an upline is
sure.
necessarily there for.
That's not what you needed him for.
Um,
Right. Right.
yeah, exactly. Like we had already had a footing, I should say, whenever we came in,
Sure.
and so there was a lot of things that we already knew. So we don't use all the exact same systems. But again, as we talked, you don't have to have the exact same system to be successful in this business.
Correct.
It's like
Correct.
in life.
Yeah.
If everybody wore the same shirt, and you're walking down the street, you can't hardly tell each other apart. So
That's
same
right.
way with this business is we can all be wearing a different shirt and still walk down the street all the same and get to the same destination. So Dave's been
That's solid,
very
man.
pivotal. Yeah, very
Yeah.
pivotal in helping us, being that backing again, having somebody you can trust and somebody who believes in you too, means all. You can't replace that. You can't buy that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I agree,
um,
man. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what brought me to David initially, the same thing, right? Like you could just tell, just genuine, he's straightforward, you get that feeling, and it is true, right? It's just like, and it's why I think him and I clicked, and why we've done great business together. And one of our clients, obviously one of our top clients, and it's just the transparency, right? And it's like, man, he delivers it the way it is. I feel like I'm the same way. Like, man, I'm going to tell you it's this. If it's ugly, this is going to be ugly, man. But I'm going to tell you right to your face what it's going to be or what it's not going to be, right? And I think
yeah,
that's so important. It's missing in this industry, and why I think David has seen such a success, and in the time that he's been doing it, and it's because of
mhm,
that, right? Because people just gravitate
yeah,
towards that because of the lack of it in this industry. So it's really cool to
yeah.
hear
So many
your
people in this
mentality.
business. Yeah. So many people in this business that all they want to talk about is the great things. The how
Right,
great the
right,
business, how many millions you can make, and it's not
right,
a
right,
lie.
yeah,
You
right,
can make a lot of money in this business, but you can also fail very hard. I've seen people fail very hard, and that's
yeah,
what David was honest about. Is hey, look,
right,
these are some of the mistakes I made. So don't do this, or hey, look, I'm
right.
seeing this as a great success. I mean, if it wasn't for Dave, I wouldn't have found my love for Oscar.
Man, I mean, let's wrap this thing up, man. There's nothing else to talk about here,
That's
guys. I'm gonna clip
right.
that, and that's gonna run as an ad, man. I'm gonna run that as an
Right
ad
there,
across
right
social
there.
media.
Bomb. It just needs to be a bomb across the screen.
Uh, I don't know what else I need, man. I should be able to bring in
That's,
another 1,000 clients because of that line right there, man.
that's right, man.
No,
That's
but you
right.
know
Hey,
what, man?
I will
It's
vouch at Oscar meeting you in person, man. You are a really killer dude. It's amazing whenever you meet people. I'm not much of a social person. Like I hang out with my kids all the time, hang out with my family as much as I possibly can. And you know what? Stick me in my basement and here in this office, and
sure.
I'd be
Yeah,
happy all my life. But getting
yeah.
out and meeting you, man, it was really phenomenal meeting you. You're just a genuine good dude. So I'm glad
I
that we met
appreciate that,
and
man.
we clicked so well. So for
I
sure.
appreciate that too, man. I feel the same way. We met a couple of weeks ago. It was really at the Cody Askins event. Big shout out to Cody Askins. We got a
Yeah.
chance to all
Yeah.
kind of sit together and hear, some really, really big players in this industry talk about the things that they do, how they do it. And man, I learned so much, right? And being able to connect with everyone, and yeah, and look, I know you're at a place right now with your agency where you guys are managing and running things, but like, and I said this to you, I think the reality is you'll get to that point where you'll have to delegate things like lead generation and different things so that you can continue building and growing your agency no different than David has, right? And I look
Mhm.
forward to that, right? Because hopefully we can work together and I can take that off your hands and help you guys continue
Yeah,
going, man. So, look,
yeah,
man, I really appreciate you coming on here today, spending a few minutes telling your story. I know I don't have millions of followers and views, man, but I appreciate you coming on my podcast here and just talking a little bit, man. So why don't tell people
yeah.
how they can get a hold of you guys if you're looking for an agency to join, final expense, possibly Medicare. Like, go talk to Ryan, right? Because he's got the system, he's got the structure, he's got the support. And so I completely vouch. I know that they're doing great things firsthand, right? And so, how can they get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you, if they're interested in working with you?
Yeah, yeah. So our our agency's name is Ryco Solutions. So we've got right now we don't have some big fancy website. Again, we're more focused on taking care of the agents first than having all the bells and
I
whistles, but
love it.
they'll come.
I
Feel
love it,
that's
man. I
coming.
love
But
it, man.
um,
Yeah, yeah.
just hit us up at Ryco Have It All at gmail.com. You can check out my channel. I don't have millions of followers. I think I may have hit 20 today.
We're working on
But
that.
that's
We're gonna
okay.
work on that, man.
That's
We're gonna
right.
work on that, you know?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You
Come
know,
check out
look,
my channel. I think it's like Ryan Valet at Ryan Valet, or maybe it's Ryan Valet. I don't know. Something of that nature. Find me
we're
out
gonna
there.
post it
It's
down. Yeah, we're gonna post it down
There
below,
we
man,
go.
so everyone's got it
There
and
we
they
go.
can click on it,
Yeah,
you
it's the
know?
best looking Ryan out there. So if that helps anybody.
That's all it is, man. So just look for the good looking guy on the profile picture and
That's
you've
right.
gotten there, guys, man. So look,
That's
I
right.
appreciate you once again, man. Anybody who's out there, guys, if you need any help with lead generation, ad management, CRM customizations, reach out to us. If you're trying to start in the insurance business, life insurance, go look up Ryan, go check out what they're doing. Man, again, I appreciate you so much, Ryan. And let's get together soon and do this again, brother.
Yes, absolutely. Same, Oscar. I appreciate everything. Really appreciate everything that again, just getting to meet you and everything has been phenomenal.
Cool, man. See you soon, brother. Thanks.
Yes, sir.